So, a warm hello from Redwood City. And the topic this week for meditation and for the little talks is equanimity. And one of the very important aspects of equanimity to cultivate or to develop equanimity is to realize something very profound and very wise about the nature of choice. That people have choices, the choices that they make. And this is true in meditation as well. And I don't think we much talk about choice in the context of meditation, maybe because it brings up too much thinking and reflection and perhaps too much self-consciousness, where we're really trying to let go of self-consciousness and really settle down and not think so much about what's happening, but really get focused and clear and recognize what is happening. So however, choice is operating all the time for us, and one of the opportunities in meditation is to, as the mind gets quieter and stiller, more focused, is to see how much choice we have, and then to carefully, lovingly, peacefully make choices. And it can be as simple as a choice to you're better off spending time with your breathing and getting focused than thinking about what websites might be interesting to visit today. And so thinking about websites can wait. There's a better choice to stay here with the breathing. It might be a choice about how we return to the breathing. If we don't see we have a choice, some of us might jerk the mind back. We might be angry for being distracted in thought. But if we see the moment of choice, we see we have a choice about how we relate to the mind being distracted, how we begin again with the breathing. And we have a choice to perhaps relate to the thinking mind as a friend in a friendly way, or as a wayward friend who said, "Friend, that's not the direction to go, and come back here, come with me. Keep me company here as I go return to the breathing." Something that's kinder and softer and gentler than the harshness of maybe jerking back or being upset with oneself. And then coming back to the breath in a way that's peaceful. Not in a hurry, not aggressively, not with high expectation, but a simple, matter-of-fact, easeful way, but also committed way to be back with the breathing. We have a choice when we're focusing on the breathing, whether to do it lackadaisically, to do it without kind of complacently, without much effort, kind of wishful thinking, I hope something helps me to stay on the breathing. Or we have a choice, we can make the choice to come back and say, okay, I'm here, I'm going to plant myself here. I'm going to organize my very being to, okay, I'm going to be here. And the best as I can, lovingly, peacefully, I'm going to really try to stay connected to this, as if maybe I'm caring for a young newborn baby in my arms. And I just want to make sure I don't drop the baby. I want to make sure the baby feels safe and held and cared for, and just really stay and be present and feel it. So choice, and the choices you make are consequential in meditation. So how can you use your capacity for choice, for recognizing choice as you meditate, so that it helps you get more peaceful and settled? How can you make choices in meditation to support you to be present, at ease, calm, peaceful, and really kind of engaged in a peaceful and relaxed way, but in a dedicated way? Just this is the most important time to make a choice that this place where you're sitting now, this is the most important place. This is the most important time. This is where your life, your attention, your life force is most valued, most beneficial, and to make a choice to really stay here with us. And if you don't want to make that choice, if you have other things you would rather choose to do, think about what websites to go on or plan the day and things like that, and it's really clear, then you maybe know, oh, I have a different preference, I have a different purpose. And to be clear about that maybe changes your relationship to meditation or maybe supports you. So to take a meditation posture and assume a meditation posture, and to choose a posture that is to the best of your ability will support you during this meditation time. And if it's comfortable for you, you can close your eyes. And to have the choice, the decision to cultivate an ability to be present in this body at this time. And express that choice in taking a few gentle, long, deep breaths. And perhaps as you exhale, maybe exhaling with either vocally or silently, with a kind of ah, where that ah is a real support for really being here and feeling here. If you do that loud, the ah, maybe the way that the sound vibrates from your vocal box and down into your body carries you into your body. As you to relax the shoulders and the body here. And then to let your breathing return to normal. And to become attuned to your exhales. A little bit more refined attention to the body exhaling. Perhaps ever so slightly, letting yourself exhale a little longer than usual. Not so much that it's a strain, but just maybe for a moment more than you would otherwise. Choosing to let the exhale be more complete. And then as you do so, to also relax places in your body that can be softened and released. The muscles of the face, the muscles of the shoulders, maybe softening the belly. And if possible, if there's a softening the hands and the arms. And then for the next few breaths, being attuned to the inhale. Really feel what it's like to inhale from the very beginning to the end. And you have some choice about how you experience the inhale. Maybe choose the attitude to have towards it, to be one that's allowing, non-judgmental. Maybe just simply curious or generous, allowing it to be just the way it is, and you choosing to receive it or to know it. Just as it is. Sometimes I've imagined the inhale is like riding some kind of vehicle that takes me up to the top of a hill. And then the exhale is sliding down. When it's time to exhale, choose to be there for the full slide, the full experience. Be there peacefully, allowingly. Allow this part of breathing to unfold on its own. And then as we continue sitting, the mind wanders off or something new happens. Notice at what point you have some choice about how to respond to that. And as soon as you notice you have some choice, choose the peaceful choice. Choose the easeful way of engaging your attention. Choose the peaceful way of being mindful. And as you get quieter and stiller, appreciate there's more choices to have for being attentive peacefully. To concentrate easefully. And you have a choice about how often you choose. Be relaxed and at ease. No hurry. But don't linger, and use your ability for choice to choose the peaceful mindfulness, the easeful concentration. As we sit now in silence. freedom is found in the choices you make. And if you don't make choices consciously, your mind will choose for you in a way that you're not really free. To find the peaceful place where wise choices can be made for using your attention to choose to be in the present moment, peacefully, consciously, mindfully, is the path to freedom. And then as we come to the end of this sitting, to appreciate that to love is a choice. To be compassionate is a choice. To be kind and have goodwill is a choice. It's a choice where we put our attention, what we choose to notice in other people, and and what we choose to notice in ourselves. And if kindness and goodwill, love and compassion is valued, then a peaceful choice can be to look upon the world, to look upon others with kindness, with goodwill. Not waiting until we just happen to have goodwill or it's an accident that we have it. And it's an action to have goodwill and compassion. You don't have to feel it necessarily. It's a choice of how we look, how we are present for our experience. And so as we come to the end of this sitting, I'd recommend that to the best of your ability, you choose to look out across the world to the people you know and others with kind eyes, with an attitude of goodwill and generosity. And to value our connection, our interconnection with others, the mutualities of our lives. And then to have the desire to share whatever benefits you have from meditation today, whether those benefits are known or unknown. Choose to share it with others in the way that we do with the dedication of merit. May whatever benefit and merit that has come from this meditation today, may I look for opportunities, small and big, to share it with other people. If I'm calm, may I bring some supportive calm to others. If I'm wiser, may I bring wisdom. If I'm more able to choose to be friendly and kind, generous, let me do so in the ways in which I communicate with people today. May it be that the way I choose to live my life is one way or the other, knowing or unknowingly, for the welfare and happiness of others. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings everywhere be free. So, good day, and I suddenly find myself feeling, I think, quite happy to sit here. I think because of the topic of equanimity Brahmaviharas that I'll be speaking about. So this is the second talk in this series on equanimity. And as a form of care for others, an attitude of caregiving, an attitude of kindness, goodwill for others, equanimity is when that goodwill is equanimous or not reactive or not agitated. When that goodwill is not influenced by any kind of pursuit of desire of wanting something, and not caught up in repulsion or pushing away or not wanting something. And so, and comes into play particularly importantly when it's hard to have goodwill for people. It's hard to have pure love or kindness for people because of the circumstances they're in. So one of them is that when people make choices for themselves that are not for their own benefit, and and to have equanimity for people who make choices that are for they're harming themselves with a choice. That's their choice, and that's their agency. That's their choice to make a choice, in a sense, even if it's unconscious, the choices they're making. But the choice is their own. And so how our goodwill comes into play when people are making choices, poor choices, is part of the domain of this Brahmavihara of equanimity. So it doesn't make, so certainly we can feel compassion for people, but the idea that, to try to help them and want to help them, and when they're making the choices that are going in the opposite direction, it's kind of exhausting for the person who's compassionate and maybe pointless. To have appreciative joy for their joy when we know they're making bad choices, we know that suffering is coming, is also challenging for the person who's wise and sees what's going on. But to be able to see this person's making choices, they're unfortunate choices, they're going in a poor direction, I still keep my heart open to them. I still have this goodwill and care about them. But it doesn't, I harm myself if I get all agitated by it, if I get contracted around it, or if I keep pushing to be compassionate and try everything I can to help the person, or if I go along and celebrate with them when what they're doing is actually quite harmful, even though they have a kind of a joy. So how not to harm ourselves with our goodwill is a little bit the domain of equanimity. So the word equanimity in Pali is upekkha, and it has it comes from the root verb to see, to view, to have it up, to observe. And it kind of, the etymology of the word kind of means to have an overview of the situation. And I think of it as a bird's eye view. And so to not be lost in the details of everything, but kind of have the overview of everything. So we we can see it with wisdom and see kind of the bigger picture of it, so we're not caught in the details. So there are times when people, for example, will do you a favor, and you come to work or someplace, and a colleague says, I had a really difficult night last night, or it's very hard, I have family who has COVID, people are dying, or my child was up all night and throwing up and having fever, and they come to work and they say it's had a hard time, and I'm really irritable, and you say, oh, thank you for telling me. And then if you find that they express some irritable kind of tendency, that you're much more forgiving of them. You say, oh, they've had a hard time. You have the overview of why they are the way they are, and so you have more space for them to be that way. They've warned you. They've been kind enough to warn you and let you know, and so you kind of get out of the way. Okay, that's today. They're that way, and you feel for them. You have compassion for them a little bit. So you're kind of equanimous about how they maybe say a mean thing, or they cut you off going to the bathroom or something, whatever it might be. And so in that sense, it's an overview of the situation, a bigger picture of it, and so we're more equanimous and more at ease with what to do. So upekkha is a wisdom factor where our understanding of the situation is really useful for having that equanimity. To simply hold ourselves in an equanimous way is probably not so helpful, because holding and assuming something which is not really true for ourselves can also be exhausting and be harming for ourselves. So to begin to kind of finding, how do you have that bigger picture? How do you have the view, the understanding of circumstances and of other people, so that when we have goodwill for them, when it's appropriate, we have equanimity, meaning we don't get agitated, we don't get restless or upset or contracted. And so one of the classic teachings in Buddhism is that everyone has their actions as their own, and people, their actions. No one else makes, like, for your actions are your own actions. That no matter your circumstances, where you found yourself in life, there's a lot of unfortunate things that happen to people. We get sick in all kinds of ways, or we end up living in a war zone, or a car drives into us. We're doing nothing wrong, but someone else maybe is not paying attention, and they run into us, and we're injured. And so those are not our choices to have these things happen. But when we choose to, we have a lot of choices. And how we choose to respond to any of that, how we choose to live our lives, we're always at a moment of choice. And when we are practicing mindfulness, we start seeing more and more the places of choice. More and more we notice that actually there's a lot of choices moment by moment. If we're not mindful, we're just on automatic pilot. We don't see that we have choices about how we stand and how we look at people and when we speak and when we don't speak, and how much food we eat or don't eat. We're on automatic pilot. Habit comes into play, or craving comes into play, or aversion comes into play, and it's driving the boat. We are not in charge. But when we see the place of choice, because it's just clear in the quiet, open, mindful mind, then when we exercise that choice, it's up to us the consequences of that choice. So if I see a thorn sticking up out of the ground, and I see it, I know it's there, and I choose to step on it, and if I cut my foot and there's blood, that was my choice to do that, because I chose to step on it. That's a kind of dramatic example, but if you have a choice about what you're going to say, and you feel angry and you're going to use a swear word with someone, but you clearly have a choice. If you say the swear word and the person gets angry back, that's partly a consequence of your choice that happened. Or that person walks away and doesn't want to talk to you. That was partly a consequence of your choice. But if you see that choice, then you can say, well, wait a minute. I have a choice here. What choice do I want to live by? What is my deepest choice? What's the deepest values I want to live by here? What's most important for me? I'll pause and look and choose what that is. And so when we see that other people have choice as well. And we can't be in charge of the choices other people make. And we might support them, we might help them, advise them, all kinds of things we might do. But ultimately, people make their own choices. And when they make choices which are not wise for them, it's their consequences they're going to have to live with. And if those consequences are unfortunate, it's heartbreaking sometimes. But to not get our goodwill, our love for them, tied up and dependent on the choices they make, so that we don't exhaust ourselves with our compassion. We don't kind of regret the ways in which we celebrated with them, or And so, to have goodwill with this overview of looking, these people that I love, that I care for, they're making choices, and those choices are not wise. And so I have to allow them, I have to be generous enough, certain generosity, to give people the autonomy, the dignity of making choices of their own. And then they have to live with the consequences. I will offer what support I can. I'll try to be supportive, but I'm not going to be responsible for all the consequences of their poor choice. They're going to have to live that out themselves to some degree. Exactly what degree, how much we're involved and don't involved, has a lot to do, again, with the consequences we think will come about by offering our support for someone. If we think we can actually turn the boat, turn them in a new direction, or help support them to come to a new way of living, maybe it's really great to offer a lot for them. But there's, but be very careful we don't harm ourselves in that process. And this is why mindfulness is so important, to really track ourselves and see what's going on inside of ourselves. And we have choice. We make choices as well. And can we choose the peaceful choices? It doesn't mean the passive choices. It doesn't mean the uninvolved choices. It means whatever choice we make, can we do so without the negative alternatives to equanimity? Can we do it without pursuit, without chasing something, wanting something, getting something, and kind of getting caught up in that need for something to happen? And can we do it without repulsion or contraction or aversion or pushing away or closing down or pulling away in horror or something? Can we do it without being restless and without being agitated? Can we do it with the mind at ease? And if the mind is at ease, then the goodwill as equanimity, and it becomes the equanimity Brahmavihara. So beings are, so I'll read you the very famous, almost it's used liturgically in Theravadan Buddhism about this, that I see it as understanding, appreciating people's place of choice. Maybe I don't, maybe I lost it here. Beings have actions, I take as being choices, as their own. They have actions as their refuge. They have actions as their heritage, and they have actions as their closest relative, as what they're connected to. So actions and choice are closely related here. And so be careful with the choices you make, not to be hamstrung, not to be inhibited, not to be passive in some kind of negative way. Use your choices so that whatever you do in the world, you do without hurting yourself. So you stay at ease, stay peaceful, stay equanimous in a way that allows the best qualities of who you are to be shared with the world. So, thank you very much.